1.
Don't want to record this episode.
Yes, you do. Come on.
Don't want to do it.
I'm gonna make you do it.
So I've stopped listing all the things we're going to talk about. We do this every week. It's our weekly roundup. This is going to be quick because there are a lot of things I don't want to talk about.
Yes, you do. I'm gonna make you talk about it.
You're not going to make me do anything.
I am. I'm gonna make you
I have a
talk
mute button, damn it.
Yeah, you can mute yourself. You can't mute me.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 22 of season 3 of the Designated Players podcast. Hold on one sec. Actually, I think I have the stats up. I think we are coming on to. This is about to be episode 98.
Oh, 98.
That is caught up. I was not ready for that. We got to do some major planning. Episode 100 is going to be big, but this is 98. 98 is cool. We're going to go back through. It's is it week 6, right? MLS week 6?
I don't think so. They all played like 7 games at this point.
Yeah, I know, but there was a double game week, right?
Yeah, but not for all these teams. What is it? I don't know. I'll look it up. You keep going.
All right. So obviously we're going to go through our stock up, our stock down, team of the week, worst team of the week, star of the week, flop of the week, hype train, dumpster fire, but we can't do any of that without talking about 2 things. First of all, scarf of the week, Connor slacking.
Yeah. Also, week 7 was this last week.
Week 7.
Yeah.
Very professional podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We are actually you're going to hear this at the kickoff of US Open Cup when MLS teams enter the tournament. So to celebrate, I've broken out the scarf of one of our favorite USL championship sides. Mingos.
Up the Flamingo.
Oh, yeah. We're breaking out the Mingos today, baby. They get Minnesota on Wednesday, so big ups to the Loons and the Mingos. I'm hoping for like a really fun tie. Like everybody moves on and we kick New York City out because they suck.
Is that how that works?
Something like that.
Okay.
We do have to recognize Fathead Connor, and even if Connor tries to block it with his head,
I won't try to.
But if
I will unintentionally try to.
But if he did, there's also a mirror to Connor's left that shows Fathead Connor in it.
Oh, you're right.
Get in.
It just has him in there. It's really tiny looking, at least from my screen.
That's funny. That's really funny. Well, I can see it pretty clearly.
You should add Fathead Connor to the whiteboard.
I should. We could probably fit him in just next to the New York City banner. They're roughly the same size, so I'm sure it would be comparable.
Yeah, don't disrespect the Fathead. It's absolutely bigger.
I was going to also bring Puppy Grace onto the pod because when you listen to this on Wednesday, it will be her birthday and gotcha day.
Happy birthday, Grace.
But she's been a bad girl. She got into the garbage today. So she's in timeout.
It's her birthday. Okay. That's the birthday
it's
present.
Almost her birthday. She'll get all of her treats later, but she's been a bad girl. So now she's in timeout, which is just sleeping on my bed. But I'm bad at punishments, okay? But we can't, all right. Tangents are on. Now we got to get off them. We can't, and we could do a recap episode on this, but we can't talk about anything before we talk about the fact that San Jose have finally sacked Matias Almeyda. First coach out in MLS this year. What are your just 2-minute instant thoughts?
Yeah, it's not surprising at all. Long overdue. This team has not been good. They haven't looked like they have any potential to be good. I believe they sit wooden spoon right now, if I remember correctly. His experiments were just wacky, didn't make any sense. Team was going nowhere. It just had to be done. I really thought they were going to give him until the end of the season, but I can't say I blame them for getting rid of him.
I agree. There was there's a tweet that I'd like to dig into a little bit more. Somebody had tweeted out, and I don't know if it was Tom Bogert or Sam Stechkel. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he wrote an article about how this has been like 3 years in the making and it won't actually change anything because the San Jose owners are garbage. And I really want to read that. So I'm going to dig into that later. Before we dig in reference to the Mingos, we can all rest easy as Forward Madison fans knowing that Wisconsin has a greater amount of surface area covered by water than Minnesota does. That is a tweet that was put out 15 minutes ago by the official
Thank
podcast,
goodness.
the
I was
official
worried.
Twitter account.
I was worried.
Good. Well, now you know because we're better than them. Up the Mingos. Hello, Minnesota fans. I know you're listening. Up the Mingos, baby. All right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a great. It's been a long time coming. I don't know if it'll necessarily be great for them, but I will share more of my thoughts after I read the article by Sam because I think that is that'll tell a lot more than just the firing or the hiring.
Yeah.
See that on our next episode because that'll be something we talk about.
Yeah, could be. Very likely.
All right. What order do you want to go in?
I want to start off with let's just knock out Star of the Week. Let's just get it done with. I know you don't want to talk about it, so let's just get it done with.
You're right. So Brian White, after a few weeks of injuries and not really making it into the team, comes in and scores a goal to keep his team within 1-goal loss of Montreal. Absolute stellar performance from the GOAT himself. Team of the week should have been Brian White just alone, but player of the week, Brian White.
I mean, I think that goal books his ticket to Qatar, right? I mean, like,
I thought he was flying the plane.
Well, yeah, okay. I was gonna say, forget being on the plane. He's flying the plane at this point, and he's the flight attendant. He's it all. He's his own co-pilot.
So, like, how much does he get for winning the Golden Ball at Qatar? Like, does
I'm
he have
not going
room in
down
his
this
trophy?
tangent. I'm not going down this tangent. Stop trying to deflect. Tati Castellanos is your player of the week. And if you say anything otherwise, you're dumb. I don't care if he scored tap-ins, which basically he did the whole game. He still scored 4 goals. Don't get me wrong. Those were like 4 goals that probably over 50% of the strikers in the league would have scored, but 4 goals nonetheless.
Okay. Here's what I'll say. Yes, he scored 4 goals, and based off of the way that we run this podcast, he automatically is earning this star of the week, right?
Yes.
But he gets an asterisk. 2 of them were penalty kicks. One of the penalty kicks should have been saved if Zach McMath had hands that weren't made of butter. Then he scored the 6th goal of the game after Zach McMath was like, you know what? I feel bad for you. So here is goal number 4 on a platter. And he almost missed that, by the way. It almost got blocked and cleared away. The first goal I will give him. I think it was great movement, really strong header, unmarked in the box. I'll give it to him. I will take Lewis Morgan's 3 goals versus his 4 goals any day.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you there. 2 of his goals were penalties. And the other one was like basically a sitter just because Zach McMath was like, here you go. You want a 6th?
Yeah, it was not a good week for RSL. We'll talk about them later. But yes, he is a star of the week. Yes, he scored the most goals. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, my God, Tati is back.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. This is definitely ranking low on a 4 goals type of week. But at the end of the day, it's 4 goals. 4 goals is winning you 99% of games in this league. Well, maybe not with MLS 4.0, but 4 goals ordinarily wins you 99% of games. So, yeah, Tati's player of the week. Easy decision there.
Yep, I won't argue. I don't like it. I'd much rather see. Alex Muil also had a really good pass to CJ Sapong that almost set up a goal. Right. I'd take him too.
It's time to move on. I want to know your team of the week because you were debating it. You were looking for any excuse not to put NYC, so I want to know where you landed on that.
All right, listen. The Chicago Fire, excuse me. I was watching Houston Dynamo. Chicago Fire have now put like.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put you on mute because you're being out of pocket.
See, they put 6-0-0 games in the first 7 weeks. These guys are killing the consistency game. Hook it to my veins. Chicago Fire to the moon.
Are you done now?
Are you done, nerd?
I'm not even gonna beat around the bush. Obviously, it's NYC. I'm not. I looked for maybe any other team that we could pick as well, because I know majority of their goals that they scored were like okay at best, like pretty easy. I still think they get team of the week. Like I don't think there was another game that you could compete with it. There wasn't like another blowout that you could like put into the mix. Like they blew them out. They looked good. It's the first time since Montreal that they looked good. So, credit where it's due. They are the team of the week.
There's a theme as to why they only look good against Montreal and RSL, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But sure,
they're home games.
Correct, and there's more of it. But I do want to give credit to the RSL Twitter admin for the tweet of tracking down the NYC banner before they get absolutely demolished and embarrassed, but also having the stones to not delete it and say, yes, sir, we made this comment.
That's fair enough. I mean, it was hilarious when you saw it at first, but then after the team goes and lose 6-0, at least RSL got one dub that day.
Yes.
It was short-lived, but it was good while it lasted.
Yeah, I agree. All right, are we done with this New York City garbage?
Yes.
Thank you.
I can tell you I have no more New York City to mention for the rest of the episode. You'll be happy to know.
Either.
Well, then your spirits should be high. Actually, well, they'll go back down later because I picked another player later on that you're not going to be happy about.
I want to fight you so bad.
But we'll get to that.
All right, continue on. You're in charge here, man.
All right, I'm in charge. All right. Why don't we jump into two players whose stock went up this week?
Oh, you're going all positive first? Ew.
Yeah, I'm a positive kind of guy. And we need to raise your spirits because you look down in the dumps right now.
You just made me give props to the worst team in the league.
I know, that's why you need to pick me up right now.
All right, we're gonna go with the goalkeeper love this stock up pick.
Nice.
Ivicic in Portland. Who is it? Who'd you say?
I said Alec Khan.
Alec Khan I'm so close, man. You have no idea.
I wouldn't be upset if you picked that. It was totally justified.
No, I was so close. I watched it and I was like, oh, you're so good. But Ivicic was a bit better. Against Houston, he had four. He got credited for 4 saves. 3 of them were either 1v1, double saves, or full extensions to the point where people were celebrating, thinking it had gone in. So Quintero and Pico both had 1v1s in the first half that he kept out. He actually made a double on Quintero to keep it 0-0 in the first half. Then you go into the second half. It's a little bit later in the game. It's like 70th minute, and free kick comes in, and Pico flicks the ball to the back stick. The announcer starts celebrating, thinking it's a clear goal. Sebastian Ferreira turns, faces Pico back to goal, starts celebrating like it's a clear goal. Ivicic goes full extensions, reaches behind him, throws the ball out of the goal, and Portland come up the other end to attack. But literally everybody stopped to celebrate, thinking like, oh, clear goal. Like the announcer's like, oh, it's a goal. Wait, no, it's not. How did he make that save? Love me a good bit of goalkeeper love. I will go honorable mention Alec Khan, PK save. I think a lot of Alec Khan saves, by the way, are just way more unnecessary than it needs to be. Like he makes a lot of, so not saying that he doesn't need to make the saves that he does, because he does, but like a lot of them are, okay, I can collapse to my right, catch it and pin it to the ground. Instead, he takes an extra second, goes full extension, and boom, get away. Boom, get away. So
he's bringing the pizzazz to SEC.
Yeah. Listen, his rebounds go in great directions. You know, if I'm a goalkeeper trying to teach other goalkeepers how to do things, I'm like, that's where you want your rebound to go. So he's really good at it. But yeah, give me Ivicic for pick 1 and honorable mention Alec Khan.
Ivicic has had I feel like a rough season so far, so good to see him do well.
Yeah, no, he definitely has stepped it up. I don't even think it's been a rough season. I think Portland have just started off slow and he's gotten the brunt of it. Like it's not necessarily on him that Portland are the way they are, but
Yeah, I mean, it's a team game. It's like impossible to pinpoint one person responsible, but they've conceded 13 goals this season. It's obviously not good.
no, absolutely. But again, you got to remember they had for a long time, and I don't remember how many fixtures exactly, but they were playing with center backs 3, 4, and 5 on the roster. You know, it's not like they were playing with the best of the best. So he was doing what he could with what he had. So shouts.
All right, I'll jump in here with one of mine. We'll go back and forth. I'm stealing one of yours from the other week. I am going what?
I feel like that's all you do is
No, it's not all I do. I am going with Raheem Edwards this week. I think he has quickly become one of the best left backs in the league this season. You were absolutely right when you brought him up a few previously. I don't remember exactly when it was. Might have been a few weeks ago. As being like a player to watch this season and having really found a place with LA at left back. And I think that continued just as much this week. I know Galaxy didn't score, but I still think he was really solid all around, going forward and in defense, which in defense is definitely an area I think people would have question marks on him about, seeing as how he was an attacker, transitioned to a defender. But in this last game against Chicago, he had 2 clearances, 3 interceptions, 5 tackles, and was only dribbled past 1 time. So super solid defensive game. Obviously kept the clean sheet as well. And then going into the attack, even though they didn't score goals again, he drew 4 fouls. He completed 50% of his dribbles, and he was able to complete 75% of his passes. So I just think all around, again, a rock solid game from him. And if he continues to play like this, that's such a scary fullback combo of Julian Araujo and Raheem Edwards. I think this LA Galaxy team is pretty underrated. I think they have a lot of really key pieces and a star up top with Chicharito. So one to keep an eye on for sure. Greg Vanny's doing some good stuff over there.
Basically what you're telling me is next week I'm expecting Ivacic or my second person here to be on your list is what I'm hearing.
Well, I have to hear the second person first, so I can.
Second person absolutely is up for who you might add.
Okay, I'll take notes.
Give me my boy Jeremy Abobasi. A brace against the Nashville side after being relatively quiet in 2021, and I don't remember hearing his name at all in 2022 so far, except for maybe a goal here and there, right? But he pops up with 2 massive goals against this Nashville side for this San Jose team to earn a very well-deserved point. They really earned that point. One free kick that was just a thing of beauty into the top corner of Joe Willis's goal. Left foot, basically, Joe Willis set the wall on one post. He said, "Bet, I'm going to beat you on the other side. I'm going to hit it too hard for you to get." And he did, and he stuck it away. Very, very nice goal. And then also did the dirty work. We called it for the Comac High School boys varsity state champion team. I don't know if you ever heard, but I won a state championship once.
I was there.
No, I only said I watched one of those videos popped up yesterday. I was on the podcast account, and the little like state tournament trip video I made popped up as like a suggested video. I was like, wait, why? So I clicked on it and watched it. It was fun. But no, he did all this dirty work, right? The corner kid comes in, ball gets flipped around, it's bouncing around. He's sitting there in between a bunch of bodies, just getting his toe on the ball, go get a goal, right? Get you a man who can do both. Beautiful curving free kicks, dirty work down in the trenches. Really good showing for Jabo here. And somebody mentioned that like he was playing himself into the spot of Qatar.
I don't know. Stop it.
I don't know if it was a joke, but they put him in the same conversation as Brandon Vasquez. And I think the other one was like Haji Wright playing in I was like, it was that, or
that's a blast from the past.
There was somebody else who was in there. I'm like, this has to be satire. But no, definitely good. Like I said, now in all honesty, right? He puts in 3-4 more performances like that. Maybe he gets himself into the Nations League team.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what you think about it, but I feel like a Bovasi at San Jose has the potential to do what Montreal has done for Jordy Mihailovic. Like, I feel like
Yes. Yeah.
this could be a good move for him to kind of like take over a team that is in desperate need of help and like become the centerpiece of that team. And like, look at
100%.
Jordy now. Like, you have to put him in the conversation for not only MVP of the league, but now he's in the conversation to go to the World Cup. I mean, he has to be. So
He was on my stock up until I was like, man, I've talked about this guy for 3 weeks. I need
I
to move
know
on.
we talk about him like every week.
I
He's just
know,
been
but,
so
but
good.
again, so I had a note there. Like, it's hard to talk about somebody week after week, but the ceiling for him is so high that he needs to continue to raise that stock, right? Right.
Yeah.
He's not just looking for, oh, I'm a good MLS player. He's looking for international transfers. He's looking for a spot to Qatar, right? So the more that he performs the way he does, the more he does. Okay, that's our Jordy Mihailovic minute. I'll let Connor go into stock up too.
Yes. So I have a couple. I don't think. Okay, so I have a guy here. I don't think that he was necessarily like the second or third best of this week. It's just someone that I feel like kind of went under the radar who had a really strong week this week. I don't think he had a better week than Jabo or Jordy or Hani Mukhtar. Also, I think Hani also had a brace. So, all three of those guys I think had better weeks. But I think I wanted to go with this guy just because I felt it was a little bit more under the radar. I went with Diego Palacios for LAFC. So I had mentioned that I think this one might be, at first seen as like a little bit of a hot take, seeing as how he scored an own goal to start that game.
Are we talking about the same Diego Palacios who put his team behind 1-0 at the start of the game?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But his numbers were really great that game. Going forward, he had 2 assists that game, if you include second assists. So automatically redeeming himself for the own goal. That right there, 2 assists is going to obviously trump the 1 own goal.
Equal an own goal? Is that the conversion rate?
I think that's pretty fair conversion rate.
Does that account for inflation? Like, where did we get this? Where did we get this conversion rate from?
I got it. Owanda, if you know what Owanda is. All right, so diving into a little
summer of heartbreak and pain.
So diving into his numbers a little bit more. Going forward, he completed 50 passes on 85% passing. So, he's really clicking with the attack. He drew 3 fouls and he had 4 key passes that game. So going forward, he was really helpful. He was terrific. Obviously, he had 2 assists as well. Then defensively, also had really strong numbers. He won 13 of his 23 ground duels. He made 3 clearances and he had 9 tackles that game. I will say he did commit 5 fouls, which is obviously something he needs to clean up. And obviously he had the own goal. But I feel like despite the really rough start to the game, he didn't put his head down and like get upset about it. He bounced back and he really helped his team complete the comeback. I guess I don't want to call it a comeback because it was just 1 goal, but complete the comeback and help LAFC win that game. Again, I don't think Palacios was the second or third best player of this week, but I just really like the fact that he had that like really bad moment at the start of the game and he turned it around and was still able to put in a really good game for LAFC.
I think it's a stretch.
I think you're a stretch.
I wish I could stretch, but I'm old. I struggle. I struggle to agree with you here.
It's fine. You don't have
I'm
to.
not saying he had a bad game, but did he raise his stock?
I think so. I mean, he was benched for like I feel like recent weeks because of Hollingshead.
Well, no, Hollingshead played on the other side.
I thought Palacios was a left back.
Yeah.
Hollingshead was playing on the right. I thought he was playing on the left.
Hollingshead started opposite of him in the game yesterday.
Yeah, but I feel like previously Hollingshead was on the left.
I mean, maybe. Listen, I think it's a stretch. I don't think he played poorly. I think it's a stretch. I think there were
obviously he didn't play poorly.
I think there were other people who could have slid in there. But again, right, this is the difficult part between, are we picking stock up players for, like, if I was picking stock up players on there, like Ivacic and Jabo are my two, because they were people who performed well when they probably needed a good game or two. If I was going for somebody who didn't, blow up the stats, I'm looking at Caleb Wiley out of Atlanta at the left back spot. I watched some of the highlights and he was so good going forward. Like, that to me is a true stock up performance where it's like, okay, I never knew who this kid was. And now he's lighting it up against FCC and the, what I'll call DC United 2.0, Benny Ball never dies. We'll talk about that in a little bit. That's my like true stock up. Like, this guy came in and automatically people are like, okay, I got to keep an eye on this guy. Palacios just doesn't fit either of like any real category. Like, he wasn't like a top 4 or 5 player in the week. He wasn't an unknown guy who was unbelievable or like who played really well. And he wasn't a guy who played really poorly and had an unbelievable game. He just existed with an assist and an own goal. So I think it's a stretch.
2 assists.
Okay. Can we get back to the negative stuff? I'm tired of this all smiles.
Fine. What do you want to go with stock down or you want to go with worst of the week right now?
You're in charge, man. You got to pick.
All right, let's go stock down.
Okay.
And I'm going to start this one.
Good.
So I have Zach McMath in my stock down.
Wow. You didn't think he was the worst player of the week?
I did not go with him as the worst player of the week.
Well,
obviously, Zach McMath had a pretty rough week. 6 goals conceded is never going to look good. However, I think that he didn't get a ton of help from his defense that game. He did finish the game with 6 saves, 5 of which were within the box. So I feel like he was just getting peppered all game and his defense was not helping him out. However, 6 goals is 6 goals. 2 of them were from errors by him. I believe it was the second one. He ran out at a terrible angle and he got rounded and scored, which is never a good look. And then the last goal of the game, he kicks it right to Tati and it goes in. And then obviously he had the penalty, which he got a hand to and should have saved. I still think 6 saves, 5 of which in the box, helps redeem it a little bit. To me, it feels like based on that, he just was not getting any help in front of him. But again, he had a big hand in those 6 goals going in. So I can't just like gloss over it. I just didn't. I know like in the back of my head, he should be the worst of the week, but I just didn't want to do it. I don't know. Something about seeing like 6 saves just put me off on it, but
like the first save of the game that he made was phenomenal.
Yeah,
like,
I remember that one.
Like the one on
really
Andrade
good.
where they chip the ball back stick. He gets all the way across, goes full extension, keeps it out. Great. Okay. But that doesn't take away from the 3 mistakes you make in a game like that. But anyways, I'll just hit the first one here. I'm really just tired of the Dominic Baggio left wing back thing. Like, let's just stop it now. Jackson Ewell at center back was funny until it wasn't. Let's not make this this is really funny until it isn't. I mean, this dude is not a defender. To even have half of a thought that he could play there is such a bad look from Pat Noonan and company. He didn't offer a ton going forward. Like, it wasn't like, oh man, like he's an inverted attacker who's gonna give us so much. Like, he didn't do any of that. And he got put so far back in the formation, he thought it was a goalkeeper. Ball gets played across the box, he just puts his hand on it. Penalty kick, which the GOAT, Alec Khan, saved. And then in stoppage time, he leaves Andrew Gutman unmarked twice. They really should have lost that game, and they got lucky that Gutman's a defender and can't score. Just get him up the pitch. Keep him out of the back line. If you're going to play anybody at a left wing back spot when Matarrita's out or hurt or whatever, Zico Bailey exists. Call that man up and let him play. Like, he was one of the best players of the team last year. I mean, he played like 4 games, but he was like their only bright spot at the end of the year last year. Get him up there. Keep Don Badji up front. We're on the bench.
Sorry, I am trying to look into a bit more of the game, the NYC game. I wanted to get a bit more on Zach McMath. So FB Ref said that the XG for that game, I think from NYC, was a 6.8, which was really high. So just to give
that's FIFA numbers, man.
Just to help McMath a little bit. It seems like, I mean, some of it was his own fault, obviously. Like, the last one was probably a high XG chance, and that was because of him. And 2 of which were penalties, which obviously skyrockets it. But I feel like McMath
that's a 0.74.
I feel like McMath was a bit hung out to dry there.
I'm not saying he wasn't.
I know.
But if this game ends 3-0, whatever. Like, he's not my worst player of the week. Maybe he gets stocked down. I don't care. But 6-0 when you have a hand in 3 of them, that's not good.
I don't know. The penalty one, I know he should have saved it, but at the same time, it wasn't like he conceded the penalty. Anyway, who's your
0.76? Sorry, each penalty is 0.76.
0.76?
Yes.
Yeah, so they were just really laying it on. I mean, they had a 6.8. If a penalty is 0.76 and a penalty has to be your best chance of the game. All right. I'm not gonna waffle on it any longer.
Good.
My second stock down this week is Julio Cascante for Austin FC. So Austin made a great comeback. I know you were just watching the highlights right before this game happened.
They were actually my long shot for team of the week, by the way, if I was going to pick anybody.
Who was the long shot?
Austin.
Oh, yeah. But they shouldn't have been down 2-0 to begin with. This is DC. Anyway, I went with Cascante because despite the fact that they made that huge comeback, I don't think that he had a good game at all. So his stat line was pretty poor. He had 2 clearances and 1 block shot to go along with 25% ground duels won and 0% aerial duels won. He had 2 fouls, 1 yellow card, and he missed a big chance, which didn't come back to bite them in the end, but it could have, because that missed chance, I don't know if you remember it from the highlights, was really bad. Like, he was standing a foot out of the goal, wide open, no goalkeeper in front of him, and he heads it off the crossbar. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think any Austin FC fan is going to complain because they made that miraculous comeback, and all is good when you win 3 points. But he was not good that game. So, stock down for me for him.
Want to know who's worse?
Who's worse?
The entire San Jose defensive back line.
Don't you dare slate Jackson Ewell.
Every single one of them need to be put in the bin. Okay, watching these highlights literally gave me chest pains. Let's talk about the goals that they conceded. They conceded 2 goals to tie 2-2. Hani Mukhtar's picked up the ball behind the halfway line, dribbled 60 yards up the field, didn't even do a skill move, and he broke somebody's ankles. He didn't even do a skill move. The dude just fell over. And he toe pokes the ball in from 12 yards. Terrible. Then the second goal they concede after the free kick from Jabo is a long throw that gets a flicked header. And who's left unmarked on the outside of the box? Hani Mukhtar, their best attacking player? You're just going to let him sit there with nobody marking him because you can't win a header off a throw-in? Bin, all of you. Get out. Go with Matias Almeyda. Go find another job. You're done.
You're being way too harsh on Nathan here. He was really good.
Nathan was the one who had his ankles broken without even a skill move being put on him. No, I won't have it. I will not have it. They're
He
all
had
done.
5 clearances, 5 interceptions, 4 tackles, and he had a
one
last man
broken
tackle.
ankle. And one broken ankle.
Oh,
on a
forget the broken
non-skill move.
ankle.
Watch
He can't
the
do it
highlights,
all.
man.
He was
Watch
fouled
the highlights,
4.
man.
He drew 4 fouls. He had 91% passing on 76 passes. Granted, he's a center back. I'm sure he's just a lot of back and forth. I get it. I dunk on San Jose. I just don't think that he shouldn't be dunked on as hard as the others.
Watch the highlights.
No. I will, but no. All right. What do we got left? Why don't we knock out worst team of the week? We both have the same one. Let's just get it done with.
Yep, FC Dallas couldn't put a goal past a very bad Red Bull team.
Good try though.
Go ahead, just say it for both of us.
RSL.
New York City, you're right.
You're the worst.
Yes, if you concede 6 goals, you get the title of worst team of the week. But
yes.
let's talk about what I mentioned a little bit earlier in the show. You mentioned that NYC will look good against 2 teams, Montreal and RSL. What do both those teams share in the way that they tried to play?
Terrible job of passing out of the back.
They tried to play out of the back and they failed. Absolutely. I mean, McMath is the cherry on the top, but I mean, leading to a whole bunch of other chances where Everton Luiz trying to turn in his own half, right? Trying to play the ball through the lines that don't exist on a baseball field. These mistakes that you just have to, as a coach, grow up and say, we can't do this. It's not physically possible. Dump it long, play ugly soccer for 90 minutes, go get a result. You cannot try and play through the back on this team because your midfield line is only 7 yards from your defensive line. It is a U9 pitch, bro. You're not playing out of the back against this team. I'm sorry. You just aren't.
Yeah. I think it felt very similar to the Montreal game, to be honest. I feel like this type of performance is what we expected to see from RSL at the start of the season and has been totally against how they've played all season long so far. So I wonder if this is a sign that RSL is going to kind of come back to earth in terms of their form and like start to show their true colors here. Or maybe they'll just bounce right back next week. I don't know. Be like a goldfish. Forget this ever happened.
Ted Lasso. Nice.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 episodes of that show, which I feel is criminal for me, but
it's a good one. You should keep watching.
Yeah, I'll have to find some sketchy place to watch it. Or if Apple TV gets MLS streaming rights, I have to pick it up. That's another episode.
Speaking of sketchy places, who is your flop of the week? I know what the answer is, but just say it.
How did sketchy places get you to flop of the week?
Because you don't want to. Flop of the week is a really sketchy place to be. You don't want to be there.
Jesus. All right, I'm sticking to transitions from now on. I gave you one shot.
This is what happens when you leave me in charge of the episode.
Zach McMath, we talked about it already. 2 goals that were completely his fault. The second goal, where was he going? I don't know. 6th goal we talked about. Second PK should have saved. That's an easy one for me, but I'd love to hear yours. I'd love to hear your sketchy place.
Yes. I picked mine with the sole intention of pissing you off. So here's in the hope that it works. My flop of the week,
Patrick Klamala.
Kasper Shabilko. So I went with Kasper Shabilko this week. For the Chicago fans listening, just know that this is just to piss him off because he picked Kasper Shabilko as the Golden Boot winner and MVP finalist. Kasper Shabilko, outside of 1 game this season, has basically been invisible. He is unquestionably the starting striker for this team, and his team has scored how many goals this season, Andrew?
I think like 2.
Yeah. Honestly, it's felt like 2. They have scored.
They've had, so in their 7 games, they have scored.
I
Or,
have
I'm
the
sorry,
answer.
in their 7 games, they have 4-0-0 ties.
Yes.
They had a double against. Oh no, they scored 5. They
Yes.
scored 2 against DC. They scored 3 against Kansas City. And that's
Yeah,
it.
then that's it. Those are the only 2
You
games
scored
that
in
they've
2 of
scored.
their 5 games.
They've scored in 2 of their 7 games.
7 games. Sorry, 7
Yep.
games. Numbers are hard. Leave me alone.
This Chicago team has conceded 2 goals the entire season.
I know, how crazy is that?
And yet the team is sitting in 7th place right now. They are borderline out of the playoffs, and they've conceded 2 goals the whole season, which is wild. I think we're both goals in the game that they scored 3 also. Have they kept 6 clean sheets?
No, they conceded 1 against Orlando after getting a red card. They conceded 1 against Kansas City.
Okay. So yeah, I'm picking out Kasper Schmeichel on this one because you're the team striker. Your team has scored 5 goals. And with the fact that your team has conceded 2 goals and you're sitting in 7th place right now is unacceptable. And this game, he was invisible again. He finished the game with 1 shot. He had 55% passing. And according to SofaScore, he had 2 big chances missed. I don't know how they come up with that criteria, but they're pretty good about their stats. I saw one of them in the highlights. I couldn't see the other. I don't know how many more games he's going to be getting this season before they try someone else at striker. I don't think
I'll tell you, it's
Schmeichel
going to be unlimited because they don't have another striker.
They will play anybody. He got subbed off, so clearly somebody else came on.
Yeah, they got Shinoso 4, who's
Yeah,
made 1 appearance for 31 minutes.
Yeah, so he might get the chance to start over him. I don't think Shibilko's
other than that, that's it. There is literally no other striker on the roster.
Shibilko is not a bad striker. We saw that in Philly, but he needs the right system, and Chicago is clearly not the right system. I'm not going to put the full blame on him because I looked at the team that they sent out the last game, and I honestly couldn't tell you who could ever create a chance on that team because it's like 7 defensive players, Kasper Shibilko, and like 2 wingers, basically.
And Shaqiri's hurt.
Yeah, so I get it. He's probably getting 0 help in terms of the attack, but he's also not helping in terms of like creating. Like I feel like a good striker, when they realize there's nobody creating chances, will drop deeper and make things happen. But you're not making things happen when you complete 55% of your passes.
Well, if you were a true Chicago fan like I am, you would know that the reason that he's not creating chances is because he's being played as a. So think about like FIFA or Football Manager when you can tell your striker to stay central or go or like drift wide. They've set him on drift wide, and he is picking up the ball in the wide areas and serving the ball into Xherdan Shaqiri, making runs into the box. It's a
there is no more
Shaqiri. It's a completely backwards system, but he's gonna get goals. He's gonna start going off.
Yeah, okay. My Golden Boot pick just scored 1 this weekend. I've already cut the deficit in half. He's coming for Kasper Shibilko. Yeah, I know he's not the worst player of the week. Honestly, it's McMath, but I'm picking this off just to try to make you mad, but it didn't really work, to be honest.
Very well.
No, it didn't. All right, let's get in the hype train of dumpster fire. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Well, mine was Chicago Fire themed, and that the Chicago Fire are going to make the playoffs scoring like less than 30
like
goals.
15 goals.
Yeah, they're just going to tie their way all the way.
I kind of want to stay hype train on this one, honestly.
I know. I don't think it's far off.
I don't think it is either.
They're gonna park the bus in the playoffs and just wait for everybody to try and break them down.
Yeah, then they're just going to send every game to penalties. Gaga Slonina is going to win them every single game, and then ride off into the sunset, off to some European team and the U.S. men's national team.
Hell yeah!
I'm all aboard the Gaga Slonina train, so I'm totally hype train on this one.
Good.
All right, mine. DC United are a dark horse for the wooden spoon.
Yeah, I'm about it. Listen, we talked about this when we did our predictions. There's nothing about this team that's like, wow, they're really good or really bad. Like they've got some players like Ola Kamara who can just jump up and push them into dangerous areas, right? But for the most part, like what player on that team is like, yeah, this is gonna be the guy that we can build around one day.
Yeah, I mean they had guys that should have been that, like Edson Flores should have been that for them, but he just
Yeah.
hasn't panned out. But yeah, I mean there's good guys on this team. Like, Julian Gressel's a good player, Ola Kamara is a good player. I just think I don't know, they just can't get it to work. I saw one. I have a couple of notes here. So they started the season off with 2 straight wins. I'm pretty sure at some point they were even like top of the East. But take it with a grain of salt. One was against Charlotte in their first ever game in history. So Charlotte completely trying to figure things out. Obviously couldn't figure it out the first game. I almost guarantee you if Charlotte played them right now, Charlotte would beat DC.
I
I'm
would
sure you
agree.
could agree with that. Yeah. And then the second one was against FCC. Before FCC got hot and was playing like Brandon Vasquez and playing on his
Before they
mind.
got to the moon.
Yes,
Sorry.
before they got to the moon. So 2 wins against really inferior opponents. And then since that point, they've lost 4 straight games, including a game where Chicago managed to score 40% of their goals this season, and including the last game where they blew a 2-0 lead in the 80th minute at home. They also blew a point against Atlanta at home when Atlanta scored in the 94th minute. So the team is not good. They can't get it done in the clutch moments or the pressure moments, I should say. And they really look to be struggling under Losada right now. So I think I'm going hype train on this one, but I still think there's work to be done if they're going to win spoon, because San Jose is going to give them a run for their money.
All right,
They're
I got one more like question of the day.
Sure. What you got?
All right, so Matias Almeyda out the door.
Don't ask me who's coming in.
Who's next?
Who's next to get sacked?
Who's next to get sacked?
Pull up the standings really quick.
I've got 2.
It's never going to be Bruce. Even if New England are struggling, he's bought himself plenty of time. I don't think I think it could be. I think he's going to be on your list too, but I would say one of mine could be Caleb Porter for Columbus. And this might be a controversial one, but maybe Peter Vermees as well. What do you think?
My two were Peter Vermees. I think his time in Sporting is just done. I think he's done all he can. His golden generation is up and gone outside of Mr. Zusi, and it's time for somebody else to take the reign. My other one is Phil Neville at Inter Miami. Now, I know that he's got 2 wins in the last 2 games without playing Gonzalo Higuain. Still not sold. So I would say those are the next 2 on the hot seat for me. And Caleb Porter, I don't think is there yet. But those are my next 2.
Columbus missed the playoffs last year, and they are sitting in 9th right now.
Yeah. Like I said,
that team is too good. They're too good to be missing out on the playoffs again.
They're not there for me yet because I put them in 9th in my predictions.
Did you really?
I think 9th or 8th. I had to miss the playoffs.
Well, it's looking good for you right now. That's for sure.
You know what I'm doing.
Sometimes you do.
But that's it, everybody. Thank you for listening to season 3, episode 22, total episode number 98. Can't believe we were almost at a century of episodes. How have we put up with each other for this long?
I don't, it's debatable if we have put up with each other.
That's fair. Make sure you comment happy birthday, Grace, wherever you're listening, or if you want to just tweet it to us, because Grace deserves all the birthday love. Make sure you're following us anywhere you get your podcasts, you know, when we go live. Follow us on all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Make sure you just tell people that we go live, share it with your friends. If you
Everybody.
share our podcast more than Connor does, then you are already like here, because it takes a while for Connor to share the episode. So,
Well, I'm collecting the second wave of viewers.
we're trying to get to that 100 view mark. So we're sitting right about 50 to 60 views an episode. We gotta do something to kick it up a notch.
100th episode.
100th episode. I'm thinking a lot of cool things. You know, get some of our old interviewee guests to hop on and have a quick minute or two. I don't know. We'll have to plan it out. We'll have to do something.
Let's see.
But yeah, so thanks everybody for listening, and we look forward to seeing you for episode number 99 and then episode 100 next Wednesday. See ya.